Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the interwebs, intertubes, and internets, whatever else you want to call it. My name is Brian from Cohesive Friendship Unit, and tonight I'm coming at you hard and fast with an update for PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Namely, the Savage map is live on a special test server. We're seeing a couple of new features added to the game as well, so I'm going to be talking about all that here tonight. But before I get into all that, I just want to remind you that we are giving away a copy of Far Cry 5 once we hit 250 subs, so make sure you go ahead and click that subscribe button. Alright, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds Savage map. One update that we are going to be seeing is the addition of weapon skins into the game, as well as the new map and a couple of new crate types. These are going to be premium items. You will need a key to unlock them, and they're just going to change the appearance of your weapon in game, similar to how it would work in Call of Duty or pretty much any other online shooter that you've played. Alright, let's get to the map itself. It looks like PUBG Corp, PUBG Company, what do they call these days? Whatever. They are taking us to Southeast Asia this time with their third map to be brought into the game. It is, as we've mentioned before, a 4x4 kilometer map, and a lot of the thinking behind this seems to be to improve the first player or the single player experience in the game. The smaller map kind of forces you to come into closer contact with other players quicker in the game, and from what I've seen, it seems like there's a lot of people jumping out of the plane all at the same time, at least as of right now on the test server. That meta is obviously going to change a little bit once it goes public, but right now it does seem to be working in terms of making the game more of a first-person shooter rather than a first-person walking simulator. Or a third-person walking simulator. I should mention that all of the gameplay on this test server right now is locked into first-person perspective, so that kind of threw me off a little bit. I'm very used to playing in third-person perspective. I've never really played PUBG and FPP, but I would like to see it in third-person just to get a better look at the map. We are getting new building assets. They're broadly similar to the ones we saw on the Mexico map. It's not so much urban buildings. However, there are a lot of like warehouse type buildings that are big rooms. It doesn't seem that the loot rate is really as high as it is on the other maps. I was having a lot of trouble getting vests and helmets in particular, which I think fits if you want to make it a quicker game, if you want to make it more of kind of player versus player rather than player versus circle, giving people less power-up items, I guess you could call them, or stat buff items. That goes a long way towards making the game move quicker. I did also notice that the gun spawn rate was much higher on this map than the other two, which kind of goes along with trying to make the game move faster, trying to make it a little more PvP rather than player versus circle, PvE if you could call it that. In terms of the map topography, how the hills and stuff are laid out, it's more similar to the first map that we saw, Erangel, or Erangel, or I don't really know how to pronounce that one, the Russian one. The slopes are not as steep. There are a lot more trees, obviously, than there are on the Mexico map, so there's a lot more cover, and it's just not as difficult to navigate as the Mexico map is at times. For vehicles and weapons, we're not seeing anything new. The only vehicles that I ran across were motorcycles and a buggy, as well as the microbus. I haven't seen any Jeeps personally. That doesn't mean that they're not in there, but it does seem like they've adjusted the loot and vehicle spawn rates to kind of fit this smaller map, to get people to fight each other rather than have the circle kill them. So, does this new update improve the PvP aspects of PUBG? Well, I would say yes and no. I think that the circle mechanics could definitely be improved to work better with a smaller map. I did play a couple of games where I landed kind of away from everybody else, and the circle was not that challenging. With the vehicles in game, you can easily stay within the bounds of the circle, and it's really not that hard to stay in the circle just running. However, I think that there are a lot more concentrated loot locations, concentrated building locations in this map than there are in the other two that we've seen previously. So if you don't want to engage in the PvP aspect, this map might not be as fun for you. I see this being the type of map that a lot of people are going to go to a few spots, and it is going to be a shooter type game rather than a survival type game. I think that a lot of that does, again, hinge on them improving the circle mechanics, tweaking those a little bit to work better with the 4x4 map. That being said, I was really pleasantly surprised at how well it worked with 100 people on the server. It doesn't seem like the game is moving too slowly. In fact, it seemed like a whole lot of people were dying early in the match, which pretty much indicates that some combat's going on early on. So let us know what you thought of this update down in the comments. And once again, make sure to click that subscribe button if you're interested in a free copy of Far Cry 5. If you're not interested in a free copy of Far Cry 5, then, well, there may be something wrong with you, but we don't judge. And as always, make sure to just crush that motherfucking like button. Click that little ringy dingy up in the top right corner so that you get updated of all the things that are going on here on our channel whenever we come out with a new video, stuff like that. And I will see you guys in the next one.